All right, this is for Algebra 2, Semester 1. We're going to start on page 104. The first ones are kind of talking about, we're going to get into graphing equations, graphing linear equations. We're talking a little bit about intercepts. The first one for number 13, because you're supposed to do 13 through 16. First one says 3x plus 2y equals 12. And it gives you three ordered pairs to fill in. 0, comma, blank, blank, comma, 0. Those would be two intercepts. This would be an x-intercept because x is 0. Be a y-intercept because y is 0. Also wants you to have a 2, comma, blank. So essentially what they're trying to have you do, if you have a t-chart, an x and y t-chart, they want you to plug a 0 in for x, they want you to plug a 0 in for y, and they want you to plug a 2 in for x. And see what three answers you get for these boxes. So if I put a 0 in for x, 3 times 0 plus 2y equals 12. 3 times 0 just cancels out, it's 0. So if you divide by 2, you're going to get y equals 6. So 0, 6 is one of our solutions, 1 point on my graph. If I put a 0 in for the y value, it would be 3 times x plus 2 times 0 equals 12. Again, that's just going to cancel out because 2 times 0 is 0. Divide by 3 and you're going to get x equals 4. So the point 4, 0 is another point on that graph. Now, if I put a 2 in for x, it would be 3 times 2 plus 2y equals 12. 3 times 2 is 6, so I would need to subtract 6 on both sides. So you get 2y equals 6, divide by 2, and you get y equals 3. So 2, 3 is another point on the graph. If I was to graph these three dots, and you would see that they would all line up. You don't have to put this on your paper, I'm just going to show you. 0, 6, 4, 0, and 2, 3. Notice those would all line up and they'd be on the same line. I know it doesn't look exactly like that, but they would. If it was on a nice graph paper, those 3 points would line up. So your job is to do 14 through 16 on that page. Then we move to page 116. You're going to do 1 through 6, 13 through 18, and 25 through 27. And I'll do number 1 for you. It's asking you to find the slope. If the line has no slope, that means if there's a 0 on the bottom, then you just write a vertical line. So well, here's a little side note. If it's a 0 over any number, we'll call it x, then you've got a 0 slope. That means it would be a flat line this direction. If it's a number over 0, that's not allowed to have a 0 on the bottom. That's no slope. And that would be a vertical line up and down. That doesn't have any slope. So all the rest of them would just be a fraction. So if you look at number 1, you've got 3, 1, and 5, 5. Your slope formula, you should write this down, is y minus y on top, and they call it y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. You can count whatever point you want to be x1 and x2. So I'll count this as x1 and y1, and then x2 and y2. So y2 minus y1 would be 5 minus 1. This one minus this one, and then 5 minus 3. So my slope is going to be a 4 over a 2, which is a 2. So that one has a slope of 2. It's not horizontal or vertical because it doesn't have a 0 or a no slope. It's just got a slope of 2. So that's how you're going to do the first ones, the first 6. Get down to number 13, and you need to find the slope of each line. That's an equation. X plus y equals 7. So your job is to isolate the y value. So subtract x. So you get y equals negative x plus 7. The reason we isolate this is because we have a special slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b. M is always going to represent slope. So whatever number is in front of x represents the slope, but b is always going to be the y-intercept. So in this case right here, this negative 1 is my slope. So my answer to number 13 is negative 1. So your job is to get y by itself and then find out what's in front of x. That will give you your slope. So just get y by itself on each problem on 13 through 18, and whatever number is in front of x will be your slope. 25 through 27, you need to graph the line with the point and the slope. So they give you the point 0, 2, and they give you the slope of negative or positive 1. M equals 1. So you need to draw a quick x and y axis, go find the point. So over 0 and up 2 would be my coordinate. That's the point 0, 2 right there. Now my slope is telling me to go up 1 and over 1. So you should always make your slope a fraction, because this is what you're going to rise or go up, and this is what you're going to run or go over. So it's telling me to go up 1 from my point and over 1 from my point. Up 1 and over 1. You can do it as many times as you want. Make a staircase. They will all line up. If you do the same every time, it will all line up. That would be the slope of that one. So you're going to do 6 and 27 the same way. Find the point, make the slope a fraction, and find the slope. Now as you get to your worksheet, the first part of it, the first 18 problems are just graphs. You're gonna practice graphing equations. So number 1 on your worksheet says 2x minus y equals 3. The easiest way to graph is to get y by itself. So subtract 2x. So those cancel out. You'll have negative y equals negative 2x plus 3. Divide everything by negative 1 because you need a positive y, so y equals negative divided by negative would be 2x and then a minus 3. This tells you a free point where it touches the y-axis. So you have a graph on your paper, you're going to find the negative 3 on the y-axis. There's your x and y. So negative 3 is going to be right here. Make the slope a fraction. From that point that you just made, you're going to rise 2 and run 1. So rise 2 and run 1. And you can do it twice. And those should all line up, and you'll have your graph. So that's how you're going to do the first 18. Get y by itself. Find the y-intercept where it touches the y-axis. Make the slope a fraction and do rise over run from the y-intercept. And you'll have them. Now if the y-intercept comes out as a fraction, let me see if there are any of those. Doesn't look like it yet. Some of them are already got y by itself, so they'll be really easy to solve. I don't see any where the intercept is going to be a fraction, so I think you're in good shape there. Except for maybe number 18. No, 18 is not either, so we're good. 19 through 23 is just to find the slope. So when you get to number 19, and it gives you 4, negative 4, and 0, 5, they're asking you to write the slope-intercept form. So we need to find a y equals mx plus b equation. we know x's and y's, because that's what both of these are. They're both x's and y's. The easier one to use would be the 0. So I could plug a 0 in for x, and I could plug a 5 in for y. I don't know what m is, and I don't know what b is, but there is a formula for m. If you remember, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, 5 minus negative 4, 0 minus 4. You cross cancel or add opposite there, you're going to get a 9 and a negative 4. So this would be negative 9/4 plus b. Negative 9/4 times 0 is still 0, so really it's just going to be 5 equals b. So now you know your equation. Y equals m is negative 9/4 x and then plus 5. The equation has to have x and y in it because those are my variables. Those could change. What we're looking for is the m and the b. As soon as you find m and b, you plug that into your equation and you have your slope-intercept form. You need to use the x and the y in order to do that, though. So that's how you're going to do 19 through 23. They're all the same. They're all just like that. Good luck.